When asked your opinion of a movie or a book, have you ever answered with, well, I thought it was good? And what is that about? I thought it was good. I think it's about expressing your opinion. You're not saying it is good. You're not saying that everyone's going to like it, and you're kind of defending yourself from that person who asked you the question, who goes off and watches the movie, reads the book, comes back and said, "You said that was good. I thought it was terrible." Right? So instead, to defend ourselves from the subjectivity of art, we say, "Well, I thought it was good." In sports, it's easy to determine what is good. You can just look at the points scored or the position in the league table or the games won or the trophies won. In art, it's a little bit harder. It's a little bit more ambiguous. It's all made up of opinions, personal opinions. You can't just say, "Oh, because the movie is 90 minutes long, that means it's good." That's not necessarily true. So when you're talking about is it good, it's mainly made up of the person's worldview. What is your worldview of a good movie? What is your opinion of a good book? For example, Bob thought the ceremony was good because it was over quickly and he could get on with his life. Whereas Dave over there thought the ceremony was good because it was traditional. It reminded him of how the ceremonies were done in the 70s and the 60s and all that. Whereas Lisa over there, she thought the ceremony was good because the speaker brought a lot of insight and it was very interesting material. So when we talk about good, what sense, what aspect, how do you define good? For example, if you think a good Bond movie is like the one in the 60s and the 70s where James Bond seduces and sleeps with a lot of women and the film contains a lot of female nudity. Well, if that's your idea of a good Bond film, you're probably not going to like the latest Bond movie, where it's a very different representation of women. There's a lot more empowerment, a lot less female nudity, a lot more strong, independent female characters. So how do we navigate this world of subjectivity, and how do we find what really is good? Well, what we can do is we can employ genre. Genre helps in the search of good, in that it provides hallmarks, it provides pointers and tips. For example, Prisoners, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman, is a very good thriller, in my opinion, because it's got all the hallmarks of a good thriller. It's got a lot of tension, a lot of problem solving. The detective gets it wrong, a few times. He gets it wrong so often that he gets taken off the case, but then as an audience you feel like he's so close that you can taste it. He's close to there's a lot of tension because he's so close to killers all the time, and there's a big scene at the end. There's a lot of tension, a lot of problem solving. It feels like a really good thriller. It reminds you of previously very good thrillers. Genre also helps with expectations. For example, I was able to enjoy The Room, the Brie Larson movie, a lot better knowing the premise of the movie beforehand. Knowing that it was going to be dealing with some grim subject matter, I could prepare myself and adjust my expectations. If someone had told me it was a comedy and I went in watching it, I'd be horrified, But no comedy at all, really. Very different movie. Alternatively, Notting Hill is a great rom-com, in my opinion, at least. It hits all the hallmarks of the rom-com genre in a new, innovative way. But as a thriller, it's terrible. As a horror movie, it's awful. As a documentary, it's woeful. There's no jump scares, there's no blood and guts, there's no encounters with killers, there's very little historical accuracy. So, in the genre, in the category of rom-com, it's amazing. In all these other categories, by defining it by those categories, it's terrible. So the genre helps with the expectations, with whether you can define it as good or not. Genre is a good way to kind of deal with the murky waters of people's opinions. Now, what about movies that fuse genre? What about Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas? Now, this movie has just enough elements to be considered a Christmas movie, but the elements that don't conform to the Christmas movie genre are wildly different to any other movie you've ever seen, any other Christmas movie you've ever seen. the predominant color is dark black. Compare that to other Christmas movies where there's the gorgeous greens of the Christmas tree, the fluffy white snow, the fantastic golds, and the amazing reds. This is a very dark movie. The characters in the movie, they are not the cream of the crop beauty wise. They're not adorable, chubby, red-faced children or beautiful bows. Instead, they're quite creepy looking, and they look more at home in a Halloween movie or a horror movie. And the plot, it's not a question of a spoiled child getting the gift that they want, or a question of faith in Santa. Instead, Santa is kidnapped, and potentially going to be eaten alive by a terrifying monster. So if someone who likes the Christmas movie genre is asking for a recommendation, would I recommend that one? I don't think I would. But then again, what's interesting is Tim Burton is the filmmaker, and within his body of work, it fits perfectly. So if you like Tim Burton movies, there's a good possibility you're going to like this, Nightmare Before Christmas. But it doesn't guarantee it, as of course it's all subjective. So in that sense, the filmmaker and the creator is a genre in themselves, and that's all we can do really. We can only genre and the creators can only kind of help us. If you like this, you're likely to like that, but there's no guarantee. So this all brings us to the final question: was this video any good? Well, it depends on what you determine as good. And Thomas, thanks very much. I hope this helps.